Okay, this, another experiment for today, is a pecan bourbon scone. Sometimes people make pecan pie and then put in a nice bourbon. And so I said, well, that would taste really good. So we've got some Jack that we're going to work with. Like I said, last time I checked, the 50 milliliters have 4 tablespoons. So we'll save a smidgen for the glaze, and we'll probably put in 2 tablespoons of the Jack. And sure, I have to chop some pecans up. A lot of them are already chopped, so I might just take out. I'm sorry, I'm going to need another plate. I don't want to put them on that plate because then I just have to take them off again. So take out probably a third. I think, yeah. I just tossed my chopped ones in with what I had. So I've got some that are less than chopped. And so most of them are pea size. Not pea, yeah, pea. Good solid pea raisin size. That raisin shape is good. It has lots of bumpy edges to it, so lots of surface to cling in the dough. When you are chopping them, the dust, the tiny bits, they will make the texture tough. Well, tougher, more al dente. So basically, some of it in minced nuts in there is good. A lot of it's not so good. So it's good for a different treat, like more of a candy, a dessert treat, because you're releasing more oils, and it makes it a more. There's a word. And oh god, these videos. I know, I'm like, oh my god, I've lost a word, and there are people watching, and I don't want to re-record this whole thing because I forgot a word. So, so I'm not mincing them. I'm just chopping them up. So, like a torte. If you were making like a nut torta, and it would, you'd really want more of a dense, nutty flavors. But for these scones, we just want nice little pecan-y lumps, and the smaller bits will go into the flavoring the dough. So some of the little tiny bits is good. So you don't want it too small, and I also don't want it too big. So the you know, those larger pieces, which would be great in pie or something else, like a candy, like a cluster or a turtle, are terrific. But in the small batch scone, it's gonna, especially if you go to cut scone, it's gonna be a problem. So I think we grabbed a third, and make sure all these smaller pieces and these bigger pieces are perfectly good for the cook to eat. There we go. When I was 3, I have a third cup of that. Like I said, I just wanted to do that. So we're gonna do brown sugar, pecans, and Jack Daniels. Any minute now, that thing's gonna go off. And I'll have to pull out some more scones. But when I was 3, we lived in Virginia, and the people next door had a pecan tree in their front yard. It wasn't a really big front yard, so basically you go out the front door and you stand, and there's a stoop. So I'd spend hours sitting on a stoop. And we're not going to use that, we're going to use brown sugar. Now the brown sugar is going to make the scone more dense than the white sugar. Because it has more moisture in it. I don't know why, it just does. Go look it up. Anyways, but anyways, I'd spent hours sitting on that stoop. That's right, crushing pecans under my feet, and then eating the nuts. So I go in for dinner, and I wasn't hungry. Okay, that's a 1/4 cup, and we just jumped the queue, but we're at the sweetener stage. That's a 1/4 cup. That's probably a little undersweet, whereas I think I want this to be much more of a candy. So let's add a tablespoon of the white, as I don't want it to be all brown sugar flavor. I want that Jack Daniels to come through, so we're going to go with a little bit of the white. And I'm looking for my half. Is it in the wash? I mean, I washed it. And there's my half. So gonna try to stop smacking it on the side of the jar because in the video it sounds really loud to me. Okay. There's our base, and we probably can get away with putting in our nuts, but we chopped them up pretty fine. So, and I forgot, we're not using the pastry cutter. We're gonna using the biscuit cutter. We're gonna use the pastry cutter like a grown-up. Okay, so let's chop that up. Yeah. I really wanted to try this. When I was cleaning earlier, I found my French fry cutter, and I really wanted to try this. I haven't done this in a long time, but if it's soft enough, if it's frozen, you're going to snap all the wires. But this is a wire French fry cutter. It worked! Look at that! Look at that! Ta-da! I'm so smart. Okay. That I knew was the reason I keep this, because I don't eat French fries. I don't make them. Alright, we're going to check what's in the oven. Which I don't think it's done. I think it needs 3 more minutes. Yeah. It needs 3 more minutes. That was a very soft dough, so it needs 18 minutes as opposed to 15. Alright, so we got the butter in there. And we got a pastry cutter, and we probably could throw the jack in. Does anybody know how to open these? For old people, it's really hard. There we go. So we're going to do 1, 2, shh, don't tell. There we go, old number 7. Alright, so we got plenty left in there for glaze and a swig and whatever else we want to do it with. So we've got 2 Jack Daniels. The dog knows I'm making scones. Go away, I'm busy making a video. Yeah, see, it has this sort of creep effect, which really makes me nuts. You can't tell me for 100 years this was the best they could come up with. Well, I suppose most women didn't have this, they just used their hands. But, and we get to the stage where it's all, yeah, if putting the nuts in with the pastry, but this would have been difficult. Putting it with a biscuit cutter, I was spoiled, I could do anything. But we get that coarse, grainy look that we want. We really want the butter to get down to that raisin size. I don't know, what is a raisin? It's 1/16 of an inch? What, 16th by an 8? Somebody go measure raisins, figure it out, let me know. I'm not going to do it. I don't have a lot of raisins. Well, my raisins are soaking in rum, as they should be. Okay. We're getting there. That's not looking very nice. Plenty of everything in there. Now let's put our 1/4 cup of pecans. Third. It may be 2 minutes. I seem to spent my whole day charging batteries and replacing them. So I'm going to assume the battery cut out when I was still mixing the scones. So I can't figure out the playback on that thing. I'd have to unload the video and fast forward. So we're going to assume it was somewhere in the middle of this. So now we've got, ooh, the Jack Daniels smell is really wonderful. Okay, so we're going to put in half of the milk. That was 1/3. And that's not supposed to be out there. But because we added some fluid with the Jack Daniels, we're going to stir in half and then see what we need. And try to incorporate most of it. The idea is not to make it fluid, like a non-Newtonian fluid. Is we want the dough to be stiff enough on its own to make a ball and not stick to your fingers. It's kind of like when it doesn't stick to your fingers, it's done. Yeah, that was quarter. I think there's 1/8 of a cup left in the, I don't think we need any more. Okay. I mean, I could say use whatever the difference is between those two things. It's math. I'm old, I can't do it in my head anymore. But it's 1/3 of a cup. You put 1/3 of a cup in and then just use the portion that you actually need. Let's see, let's get that out. Yeah, we're going to skip the plate right now because I took too much clutter here. I mean, if you're just making the scones, you don't have to make a big mess like I do. If I'm shooting the video and I've got everything at hand, I usually just do it right in front of the stove, and as I use things, I just put them in the sink, so it usually doesn't look like this. It's a little bit more contained clutter. So, yeah, I feel heat coming off that too. So, what we don't have to do is get this into the bowl that needs to be in. Everything is sticky today. I think it's the brown sugar. When I use the brown sugar, everything is a little bit stickier because obviously I can't say it has molasses in it, but it has that sticky sweetness to it, so it makes a stickier dough. There we go. So we want it to, you know, make a nice ball. And like I said, don't do what I'm doing, do it right. There we go. Yeah, I know it's lopsided. You'll get there. It's a hot pan. Shut up. There we go. And now, if you want to cut it in 8 pieces of 8, you can do so. I find that I don't like the smaller pieces personally. I will cut a cooked piece in half to take a snack or share. But I find that they never come out evenly sized for cooking. Not that it makes it much difference, it's just, I like it this way. And I feel less bad when I say I ate one piece. So we're gonna cook that probably for 15 minutes. And we'll check back in. Thank you. Okay, now I'm gonna stir up a glaze with the Jack Daniels for the pecan bourbon scones. I want to put it on when it's warm so it soaks in. It's just like with the rum raisin ones. So all my other ones are in the sink. So I'm going to use 2 tablespoons because I want it to be very 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and we're going to take tablespoon. Oh, gotta hold on. I won't be able to pick it up. I know me. Okay. I'll go to the rest. And that should be enough, but we have another tablespoon left in there in case there was another use for it. Can't imagine what. But yeah, there we have a nice syrupy glaze. If this was going to be a glaze that went on it cold, didn't get soaked in, I would use a much less. I would use like a teaspoon and make it midway between what it is now and a frosting. I mean, this has a consistency of maple syrup. All right, so that's going to go on our scones. And these are our pecan bourbon. And you have no idea. I mean, usually I go in the liquor store like 3 or 4 times a year. It's a really big one over here in Portland, RSVP. And the last couple of times I go in there, I like pelt the woman with questions. I mean, I did go to bartending school once, but I pelted with questions about which preferences of things that I wanted, and now I go in and I'm like, oh, I'm going to bake with this. I just need a nip. Can you have it in a nip? So it's like one of the 2 things I can't do yet because I don't have them in a nip. But anyway, so I promised her some scones. I have to bring her some. Anyways, this is not stuck. I'm just, oh, they didn't rise very much. Did you count how many teaspoons of baking powder I put in? I know I didn't because I was talking to you. No, they look fine. Oh, they look fine. They smell good. We're gonna, now they're nice and hot. We're gonna put the glaze on them. Normally I would do this over the sink on the long ones, and that's one of the reasons to use the yeah, that's hot. The difference between the stainless steel, and this is why I did that really long video with all my hoard of the tools. The black coated ones that you get are the non-stick, and that's not the non-stick surface like Teflon. These are a plastic coated, which is great for sticky pastries and cleanup as a breeze, and you can probably put that in the dishwasher, but you can't put it anywhere near the oven because it'll burn, it'll melt. So having the stainless steel ones around is great because you can shove it in the oven if you need to, you can put it on top of the oven if you need to. They're a little fussier for cleanup because you have to get in where the corners where the welds are. I think this one is 11 years old. Alright, probably should have got this on there when it was still hot. So here we go. That's just brown sugar. It's not dirt. It's just carbon. Shut up. Get that in there so it soaks in. Now I'm thinking I probably should have put more Jack Daniels and less sugar. You know, it's like a fruit cake. We want it very, but it'll absorb in. It'll be just a little bit sticky on the outside, but it won't be like a frosting. But I think it's ideal for this. And a lot of the fumes that are coming off of it. People, I mean, yes, most of the alcohol is burnt off, except for obviously what we just put on the top. So no, that's not a child appropriate. So if you're gonna, you know, make this for children, you may not want to put the Jack Daniels in the glaze. You might just want to put milk. Yes, when you make something with alcohol and you put it in a hot oven, yes, the alcohol is going to burn off. I mean, look, we put 2 tablespoons in. My God, there's more alcohol in your mouthwash. And that's probably not true. Don't quote me. Anyway, so, but the fumes trigger, it's for the, I put things in for the nose. So the fumes will trigger the sense and they'll say, oh yeah, I can taste it. Yeah, you probably can taste it, but you don't really, oh, I taste the alcohol. No, you taste the flavorings that Jack Daniels gets with their alcohol. So, yeah, I know. Somebody's going to post a comment saying, you're completely wrong. Whatever. I put some flavors in for the nose, some flavors in for the mouth. So that's going to cool off. And we're going to take some pretty pictures of the what I baked today. And if I have enough room on that battery, I'm going to try another one, which is a completely for the nose one. So thank you for watching.